Did everyone have a decent break? Have coffees, waters, good to go?
I'm on the skipping permit.
Been to the bathroom, done all of that?
Yes, thank
Yep,
you.
everyone's comfortable? Beautiful.
I'll have access to that one, but I'll be
I had a question. I thought I was really great.
Yeah.
In the portal, I can only see notes in the top right-hand corner. I can't see the functional assessment.
Where are you referring to?
I'm open-minded.
So if I'm looking at here,
Yeah. So if you just search, it's going to be hard without an example. Can you just click on one? Does that work? Yeah. No. No. Oh, that's a business one.
what were you wanting to?
Yeah, it's very, you need a real application to see it.
And it wasn't giving me the option.
Yeah, well, I noticed at the counter yesterday, someone came, well, I went to the doctor, it was like an elderly man with a frame and everything. But some people who are on ABPs can't see the functional assessments.
I can see it. I've done them before.
Yeah, can I give you a number?
You certainly can, yeah. Let's have a look.
So, 6XR, CMD.
Okay.
Yeah, you can view functional assessment, so you can see how the doctor's answers, but I don't have access to them.
He's only got notes.
I just have
He's
to-
gonna pass me a Joe and fix with
Do they need to order them?
Yeah, I'll run it past Nick.
Unless one of the phones had it last week, but they've got different access.
Because then the person at the counter's like, well, how did they answer it?
Yeah, just show me. Gotcha. Okay, alright. If anyone can't see those areas, can you let me know so I can follow up with my boss? And we'll make sure that we get you access. Thank you for that, Patrick, that was really good. Okay, so we've had a look at the accessible parking permits this morning, so I think you can see that they're pretty straightforward. There are some obviously that are going to require that little bit of investigation work, and obviously bearing in mind that we are transitioning away from PNR, so we always do need to be checking in case there are potentially those duplicates. We need to be mindful of the language around the new, renew, replace, and we need to be looking at those in context of how that customer has actually submitted their application. So now, we are now going to jump into the second part of this training session, which is skip bins. Again, the really nice thing about skip bins is we don't do really anything for them because it's all done through Services Victoria,
It's kind of idiot proof.
which is kind of.
This is what Amy set up before she went off, isn't it? That all these were going through.
Yeah, Amy did a lot of work in this
Yes.
space prior to going on maternity leave, and this is probably one of the most simple processes now. It's really, really good. So there's really good information available on the website. You can apply for a permit there, and it will take people through to Services Victoria. You've got the actual vendor guide. This is a really comprehensive guide on all of the terms and conditions, and it also has a step-by-step. So, overview of the process. It's an online application. Upload the documents, so valid ABN and certificate of current public liability insurance. They will then be prompted to submit their payment online straight away, and they get an instant approval. Bam, done. It's that easy. And these are the screenshots that will take you through. So at least you can have a look at this and familiarise yourself with it, so at least you know potentially what the person's gone through. But we don't really need to do anything more with this. But this has all of the comprehensive regulations about the placement and things like that to do with all of your skip in. So you'll see how we've got details. So delivery details, where is it gonna be, where's it gonna be placed, what are the application fees, and all of this kind of stuff. So essentially now what we're doing is where we were looking at the Department of Transport portal for accessible, we're actually now getting these registered into PNR. So we're actually now gonna keep a record of this entry in our database, just so that we know what activity is actually going on in the area. So slightly different, and the process that we go through here to actually generate a skip bin is also quite different. And what we're actually gonna do now is we're gonna use an application wizard, and we're gonna generate a skip bin.
I like the big, wizard.
It is exactly the
It's
same.
exactly the same. Who's done RPPs here before? Yep. Yep. You all done RPPs? Just not you. Okay. Right. So as part of RPPs, when you're doing a new one, you do go through the application wizard. And you'll see when we get there how familiar it is. So there's some really good information on the website. Please always direct people back there in the first instance. Also advising that it is actually not one of our services anymore. It has transitioned over to the state government. They will be doing everything online, they pay for it straight up front, so we don't have to query anything like that anymore. There is one process though that I'm still waiting for confirmation from finance. I've only reached out to them like about 5 times and still haven't heard anything. But it's about when a person decides to extend a permit or reduce the days of a permit, how do we get the extra money or how do we refund them? I'm still waiting on confirmation from finance on what that looks like and how that works. We've
I'm
got
just
a,
hoping I never get you.
yes. Well, I think so far so good. It has come up once though, I know that much. But everything is here, permit conditions, and you'll see here, cancel or change. If you want to cancel your permit, you need to contact us before 10 AM. If you want to reduce, you need to contact us before 10 AM on the day you want the permit to end. Permit conditions, blah, 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 blah. So, what we get then is we will be changing our dashboard and we'll be accessing now the CC skip in permits.
Oh, there's more. Look at that. I'm sorry,
You've been killing it.
Don't know why that's dating as good. Don't know why that's dating as good.
Oh, the addresses will be unrecognisable by our system.
Gotcha.
There's one skip-in at the moment that's ongoing, that's outside Canterbury Primary in Leeds Road.
Yes.
They put it through in the system as 2 or 5 leads, but it's actually opposite 15.
Right.
But it's outside the primary school, so it doesn't recognise it in PR. You've got to sort of
That makes sense.
put it under the primary school address, but it's not.
Yeah. So what have we got here? Where are
We've got press F5, it'll load better.
There we go. Got the application. This is what it looks like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You don't need to read it all,
Yeah.
that bit.
That's essentially the permit number there. Services of Victoria, skip in permit, reference, council name. It's been placed on road. We've got a total cost of $112 for the permits. It's going out at 35 Moorhead Street in Camberwell. It was paid online, and this is the company, Westgate Bin Hire. We've got public liability. Now, one thing we also must do here, great, we've got the application. Next thing we need to do though is we need to check that public liability insurance because we need to make sure that it's current. When I say current, we need to make sure that it covers the period that they're requesting. From the 3rd of March 2023 to the 3rd of March 2024, we're good to go. Now, I will just quickly mention to you in the meeting invite, you've got this here, but there is also we've just recently developed a full skip-in training manual, so I'll get that sent around to you guys afterwards as well.
It's
And-
in Atlas, yeah.
Is it in Atlas?
No,
been updated into Atlas?
There's additional resources as well.
Sorry, I thought I actually had it in here.
Oh, the top boat, not the how to.
Oh, that way. There it is. Yeah. Oh, so you've got that on the meeting invite, right?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, if we could just get that into Atlas on additional under the residential.
I actually think Catherine's doing that, I think today.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's all in here. So about how to access the permit dashboard, how to review, how to attach public liability insurance. Now, the only things that we're changing now, how to open a journal, how to issue an invoice, how to close a journal, because everything's now being paid online, it's being paid up front. So we actually don't do any of that processing anymore. So this does need to be updated to reflect those changes.
Once finance tell us,
Sorry?
once finance tell us what they're doing.
Yeah. But you'll see though that it still goes through and it still gives you full step-by-step guide. Takes you through the form, key parts to look at, and then takes you through the step-by-step on how to actually get this done. So let's have a look at that now. Let's see if we can now actually get this permit into P&R. Again, this is going to be really annoying because obviously I'm working on, yeah. So what I'm going to try and do, I don't know if this is going to work, but let me try it. So,
Aha,
Oh,
look at you.
clever.
did not know you could do that.
No, Pat's showing me that camera once.
But you'll see though that it reduces everything down to put things in a really weird format and location. That's the only issue. But one nice thing though is that we actually do have, let's just get our document up. Okay. We go home. Application, creation, wizard. Now, what I am going to do though here is I am actually going to just jump into this one here and I'm going to assign it to myself. Because there's a few in there, so it means that once I've generated this one, you guys can jump in and do one.
I was gonna ask you yesterday if you wanted me to stop processing so that you'd have some.
Okay, so when coming to this application creation wizard, we can see that we've got all these little steps down the side. We've got our module code now. So we've got this periodic licensed users, and we're looking at a primary group. So in this area, originally we would have done a disabled parking permit. We do residential parking permits here. Commercial street furniture permits are done through here, but we want one of those. Skip-in permit. Yep. So that's it. And then go next. Default description.
Pretty much.
Next. And it was 35 morning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm just going to expand this out now so that we can have a look at this in full screen. So I've got that one there. Next.
You can scroll down on the CRM file and it'll actually give you the
Ah.
ID.
Good point. Very good point.
Because Rebecca didn't know how to do that.
686314. Now, see how we've got these here? So we've got these two names that have already defaulted because this person's already associated with the address, but they're not part of this application. So I need to just remove them, and just by double clicking in these fields here, you will actually remove them. What I need is I need to get that number in. Of course, I've forgotten it already. tap in higher. So by selecting, clicking, or just selecting it using an arrow, you need to bring it over here, and then now become the applicant. Now, we've got some fields that we need to fill in. So, when was the application received? We've got the CRM case, 3rd of the 10th, 2023. What have we got? 10:52. Mary, do you put in a time?
No.
So just the day, yeah?
Just the day.
Yep, beautiful. So we want to have a look at then, we do want to have a look at what our start date is. Whoa, that's a bit tricky. 3rd to the 5th. Okay.
Oh, so today.
So literally 3rd, 4th, 5th, 3 days.
So we can actually lodge it today and have it there already?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
We get told about an after effect.
Yep.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to do any more of these because we're not really doing anything else with them. But we do need to do this. Now, we do need to also get you guys updated into
I
PNR.
can do that.
Sorry?
I know the process of how to do that.
Oh, do you? Fantastic. Would you be able to do that for all of us here today? Fantastic. For the circumstances
Because I
today,
actually taught me how to do it, because
Mary,
we don't really know how to do it. You guys should be doing it yourself. And I'm like, I don't think anyone here knows how to.
are you okay if I use your name here to process? Thank you. So we're going to skip position. We're saying it's on road. And generally it's building work. I don't think there's anything on the application form to actually specify what kind there is anymore. So for us, it is just simply going to be that. Now, period in days. 3, 3rd, 4th, 5th. 3 days, we good with that?
You include the dates delivered and the dates
Yep.
picked up.
Yep, that's exactly it. So you'll see how we've now got all of this information. Okay? And if I was to look at the guide, you'll see how we'll now just be stepping all the way through, skip bin permits, next, default description, next, blah, 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 blah. So this will work you and step you all the way through. So we've got all this information in here, we've got that information there, we've got one more field we need to do. Which was the issuing authority, Service Victoria.
It's not always Service
Yeah,
Victoria.
it's always service.
Always Service Victoria, because we don't get them any other way. So now that all that's done, all we do is we hit next.
And they're just like an after.
Yeah. So save and maintain. And this is where magic happens. This is the wizard.
We should have some visual effects,
Sorry. I need my magic Harry Potter one to go. You'll see now I've got a permit number. It's generated a permit number. I've got all this information in here. I've now got some notes. What do you think I'm going to place into this notes field in PNR?
Diary, that's a date,
No?
Oh.
We literally just put the case number.
Hey!
Oh. Well, I think of the date, permit number,
We not
the case number.
When we get
initials.
documents.
In here, you would still follow the same format that we usually would. So it would be 03, 10, 23. Then we'd have the CRM case number.
I don't think we even put the date and the MR, we literally just put the case number.
We'll wait till you call it.
With,
Oh, you didn't get.
with these, this isn't so much a necessity. The case number definitely is, but
Yeah.
not necessarily this format.
Right.
That format's really when we are adding an additional note that is out of context. Because we want to know when did it happen, what actually happened, and who did it. At least then we know who's involved. So we don't need to follow this format exclusively. You're not going to get marked down in quality if you don't do it in that format, okay? So that's absolutely fine. So I've got that one in there, so I'll just save it, and now I've got this one here. So I'm going to copy that,
Put it in
and
the case.
where do you think this is going?
It's the case number.
Correct, correct.
In 3 different spots.
Oh, okay, down at notes.
So I'm going instructions. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to resolve my case.
You've actually got to put it in notes too. Why, I don't know. considering
It's,
it's
no, you want it
instructions.
in notes because it will lock it, because the notes is a non-editable field. But it means though that if we're looking at it in a dashboard, the dashboard will display the instruction field, so you can actually then see the permit. But it's an editable field, so it means that just in case, cross-reference it into the notes because that will lock it down. You can't alter it from there. So let's add our note in there. Done. Now I can resolve the case. And third one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, why do we do that?
Purely because if we're looking for a resolution on a permit determining, we can then search by our permit number and find out whether or not it was actually resolved. It's just, often you
don't
just put
do
something
that
like
with-
resolved or something like that in there, but
Yeah.
because we've got the permit numbers, we can just use that. It keeps
We
it
were
really
doing
easy.
that for RPPs too.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I've only just put resolved.
Yeah, I've always- I've used it.
Posted or something.
It just means that we've got everything sort of cross-referenced and all tied up and, you know, so no matter which way we essentially go and search for something, we've always got a reference for it, so we can always go back and find it. So that just makes it really easy. If I'm now resolve that,
Basic question, do you have to put like a first response centre or anything to service
Yes, you
Victoria?
need to tick it as yes.
Oh, right, you don't actually have to send us first.
You've got to stop the clock.
correct, and that's one thing that I did not do. So you'll see here under the case status and escalation details, that timer is still
Oh, so you're gonna
clocking
resolve,
down.
reactivate.
So, I do, reactivate.
I think when I was away those 4 days and I was sick, nobody knew that they had to stop the clock, and Joe actually went into the permits chat and said, guys, when you're doing skip in, stop the clock.
Got you. Yep, got you. That's what stopping the clock means, that we are just shutting down this case status and escalation details. That's now gone succeeded.
You're not actually sending anything to them, but
They've already got their confirmation. They've already got the permit. You know, it's already been granted
the
right
skip
there on
bin's
the
probably
spot.
already out in front of them.
It probably already is.
So just a silly question, with the skip ins, so we get a few complaints, like someone's been skip in, and they haven't applied for a permit as yet, or it's sitting there, will they be fined?
Potential, look, it depends.
Yeah.
You know, if we've got the application and we process it, then as long as we've got a valid permit in place, no, they won't be fined.
But
That-
then you said sometimes you get them after.
But the application is
It's still there though.
timestamped.
It's already gone through the Service Victoria, so it's already in the
Right, so,
system.
okay,
Yep.
right, okay.
Which meant though that also if a fine was issued, they have every right to obviously get it reviewed because they can say, look, I've got the confirmation here of when it was logged on Services Victoria. So that's quite rare.
Yeah.
Quite rare. But in case it does, you can still advise your customer just follow the same process as you would requesting a review of a fine.
I do get the guys on the phones asking, like, the property owner wants to put the skip in.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, they don't. They've got to go through a skipping company, it's the company that does it through
Yep.
Service Victoria.
Yeah, because the skipping company has the public liability insurance, so they're gonna do it on behalf of the customer.
But the guys
Or the
on the
resident,
phone
I should
always
say.
get the property owner wanting to put the skip outside their own property.
So if I go back and if I now have a look at this document, you'll see that I've actually gone through all of these steps. I've got the permit numbers generated, how to review it, resolution, and resolve. And this is now just additional information, so how to attach. Do you attach the public liability insurance?
The only time we attach it, and I only do this because Amy did it, and if Amy did it, then it's probably right. When we're changing the liability end date,
Yep.
because they've got a new period of cover, I attach it, the policy in the actual attachments in PNR.
Good, against the
That's what
name,
Amy does.
against the, yep, perfect, absolutely
But,
perfect.
yeah, I didn't know we did that until I found Amy's one, and I'm like,
Yep. So if we don't have an official public liability document in there, we can certainly save it in against the name record, and that way that document will actually exist in PNR. Did you know that PNR actually has a document storage function?
I didn't-
Probably, I didn't, so.
I've saved stuff in,
Yeah.
I used to
I think I did
save
too.
things in the attachment part of animals, and then I got
okay.
told not to.
Can I
P&R, you can actually save things in attachments. So it actually stores documents as well as CI.
Yeah. So what you can actually do is you can actually save that document as a file, and you can actually just drag it and drop it, and it will just store it into P&R.
And every time you open the name, it's there.
It's there.
Does that marry up with objective though? Like if you store it here and it's just a bit of
Yeah, it
It's
is.
exclusively P&R. But I suppose because P&R is still technically a core system, it's fine for that document to actually sit in there. It doesn't necessarily need to actually sit in objective, because that document would actually be constantly updated and reviewed.
that makes sense.
So we'd probably just wanna make, and we don't need it for anything else apart from knowing that they've got it in place in case something happens. We know that they can be the ones
Yeah.
responsible.
Cause I see some of the name IDs have like several of the public liability documents,
Yep.
because it's obviously been
Updated.
renewed all the time.
Mhm.
Whilst others have none in the attachments, so
Yes.
should we be putting them in there if we've got?
I would say this is absolute best practice. If we've got them, yeah, let's put it in there. Yeah, yeah. Because at least then, even if there's an issue with one of them, we can still go, they might have attached an old one. But if we've got a new one, we can still probably go ahead and do it, because we actually know that the actual document's correct. But when you're basically, when you might be just renewing a policy, you're gonna have that hangover period before you get your new one and your old one. So it might just be they accidentally submit through the old one, but now.
But would that have gone through Service Victoria with a, expired?
Yes,
like
it
that?
does go straight
Really?
through.
Right.
Because they're not asked to put in,
They're not checking the date.
yeah, they're not checking the expiry dates on there, so.
Cause,
So we would then contact the customer and say.
well, no, Penny actually noticed, cause it came through last week, the date of the expiry of the public liability was the 25th, and the skip bin was to be delivered on the 26th to the 28th, and so the period of the skip bin did not match the liability cover. It still came through.
Yeah.
What's the
But
liability?
did you
Wait,
create?
no, I
Ring the customer?
emailed the customer and said we need your public liability.
Oh, so there is email channels that you.
Yeah, there's a, on the actual PDF that comes through from Service Victoria, if you scroll down onto the second page, you've got the contact name and
Yep.
number
That's
and
great.
email address for the skip bin company, and you just
Oh,
tell
so you
them,
just said that, how you
I
want
need
it,
your
yeah.
public liability insurance.
Cause
So
it's.
you'll see we've got him there.
But there's no standard letters like there is with residential paper, just.
There's Rebecca. Basically, you go, what have you done in this case? And she's generally got her an email for every scenario.
I think we should do some standard emails in the